everyone. I am just getting this live for our success mindset call. I'm really excited to have everyone here. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes just so people can drop in before I begin. And I know that there'll be a couple people coming in from Facebook and through my email list. And I know that it takes always a little bit of a couple minutes to just join. So I'll do that until I start. And if you guys are already here, you're more than welcome to already post your questions in the chat box. I'm more than happy to have a look at those. I'm so excited to begin. I'm so excited to share everything that's been happening for me, but more specifically, how it's happened and what principles I took on from learning from some of the best people out there in terms of coaches and in terms of programs that I've taken over the last year. So I cannot wait to get started. There are just some more people who are dropping in, so I'm just gonna wait until I start, just so that they don't cut halfway through. So I will just do that. Like I said, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to type them in the chat box on the side whilst we're going on, just because we will have a Q&A section at the very end of the session. And I hope that you guys can all hear me incredibly well, and hopefully the connection will go throughout. That would be lovely. So we're gonna hopefully get started. I see a couple more people joining. It's great to see so many of you guys on the call. I'm so excited to get started. I'm gonna bring up the sound a little bit more, and there we go. Okay, so we're gonna check everything's good and ready to go. Amazing. Okay, cool. So even though I think that there'll be some even more people just coming through afterwards, I want to get started because I know how precious time is when you're an entrepreneur. Being one myself, being a business owner, I know that each minute counts and you want to make the most of it, and I really get that. For those of you who know me, I like to really go straight in because I don't like time to be wasted, and I just want to give you guys as much value as possible because I know that's why you're on this success mindset call. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the format of this call so that you have all the information that you need, and then we're going to seriously just dive right in. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be really good about sticking to my format so that you guys get as much as possible. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, what I have manifested over the last year, where I was before as well, just to show you kind of the evolution and how much things can change over a very little amount of time. And also how tough it was at times, because let me be honest, it was really tough at times. So I want to share that with you as well, to know that it's not, you know, it's possible for you as well, even if you're going through a lot of like hard times right now. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, what I've manifested, and then we'll dive right into the 3 principles and the 3 mindset tips that I really want you to take on board ASAP, maybe even starting today, that you can start applying in your business and in your life to actually create anything that you want. And I actually genuinely believe that, not because I've done it myself, because that's already a big plus, but also because I've helped my clients create this as well. So I know that it is 100% possible. And I know that it's just literally putting in action these different steps and getting your mindset right, and then everything can happen literally. So that's what I'll do. And then at the end, we'll have a section for Q&A. And I will also tell you about a really, really exciting offer that I've got. So that'll be at the end of the webinar. And I'm just really, really excited about this. And there are limited spots for it. And so I'll tell you all about that at the end. And then just to let you know that this is only the first part of the webinar series, because obviously I've learned a lot over a year. And so the second part will be next Monday at the same time. So if you want to tune in, you're already registered because this is part of a series, and I'll let you know and send you a reminder. So let's get started, guys, because honestly, I'd want to just give you guys as much as possible. So this is the thing. Who am I? My name's Olivia. I'm a business and mindset coach for new women entrepreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs. And I grew up in a bit of a funny way. I grew up in Tokyo, Dusseldorf, Johannesburg, Vienna, Hamburg, went and did a bachelor's in business in Boston, moved to Auckland, and then moved back to London. So I've had a very eclectic childhood, to say the least. And my parents are actually French-Belgian, but I've never lived there. And I went to international schools throughout my whole sort of life. So that created a very interesting experience for me, and an interesting background. And I want to tell you where I was a year ago. 1 year ago, I had just started my very own coaching business, and I had 0 clients, 0 money coming in. I didn't have a Facebook group. I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't have a website. I literally did not know anything about how to book sales calls, how to create, engagement, how to have the right mindset. I didn't know any of this. Yes, I had determination because I really wanted to create a better life for me, and I wanted to do something I loved and helped people. Like, honestly, my biggest desire is to help people, but I had no idea how I was going to create this. And I was working at a little part-time job at a yoga studio, literally making about, I think it was around $700 a month. I had savings from a job at Bloomberg working in finance for 3 years in sales, covering asset management companies, but literally that was it. I had the savings, I had my part-time job, and I had 0 clients, 0 money coming in from my business. That's where I was. So I want to start with that just because I think that every time I've come on these webinars, I always think to myself, that's great that she's made this happen, but I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm just different to her. Look at her. She's done this, this, and this. That's why she's been able to do that. And I'm genuinely here to tell you that that is not true, that anyone can create their dream business and their dream life if they choose to, and if they choose to put in place these different systems and really get their mindset right, and then take the actions to execute everything that they've come up with in terms of their mindset and their strategy. So this is the thing. I remember reading the book, The Prosperous Coach. And if you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend it. It is a brilliant book. And what it does is talks to you about, how to do deep coaching, how to create a successful and prosperous coaching business. And, even if you're not a coach, it can be really helpful in terms of how to serve people and how to make a difference in their life. Because I know that there's a lot of service-based entrepreneurs who are on this call as well. So I remember reading the book, The Prosperous Coach, and it was written by somebody called Rich Litvin. Rich Litvin is incredibly well known in sort of the coaching industry in the United States, although he really doesn't do the whole online marketing thing that much. So I'm actually already surprised about how much people actually know him. And he's just pretty freaking amazing. He's coached really public figures, very high level politicians. He's coached directors that are very well known. Basically, he's really coaching high performers. And at the time, I told my brother, I had 0 clients, 0 money. And I told my brother, I'm going to be coached by Rich Litvin. At the time, I remember hearing that he was charging about $75,000 for coaching. And at the time, you can imagine that I was like, I really thought I don't know how it's going to happen, and I have no clue how I'm going to make this work, but at that time I said, I'm one day going to be coached by Rich Litvin. And I was certain about it. There was no sort of doubt in my mind. I didn't know how. I had no idea how, but I knew it was going to happen. And I also told myself I would be traveling once every couple of months. And I was just it's gonna happen. I want to create a lifestyle that not only am I serving people massively and empowering women to really create dream businesses that they love, but I will also be living a lifestyle that I love in terms of traveling, spending time with my boyfriend, enjoying my family time, really just making the most of life, going to these amazing workshops. I went to one in Los Angeles last year in July, doing all of these amazing things. I wanted to travel as well as have a thriving business. And even though at the time it felt pretty much impossible because I didn't have anything created at the time, that's what I did. I set that intention. And I want to fast forward 10 months, 11 months forward. And turns out I will be going to Bali in March for a 7-day book retreat. I'm flying in from London. And that's involved in a 3-month book writing program because I'm writing my book, which is very exciting. And I want to share to the world because I want more people to be able to live a life whereby they're happy, they're creating amazing clients, they're making money, and they have a life of freedom. So I'm writing a book, which is super exciting. So I'm going to Bali. I'm going to Nice, Geneva, Belfast, Hamburg, Paris, Bordeaux. And this is just for the first half of the year and only what I planned up until now. And on top of that, I met Jack Canfield and I shook his hand and I spoke to him at his event last year in London, which was amazing. And I've also manifested 6 months of coaching with Rich Litvin himself, which is starting in March and it ends in August. And on top of that, I've created a thriving coaching business, which is amazing, and with clients that I adore and who are so inspirational, who want to go out there and make a difference in the world, but who are, struggling in terms of the how, and that are struggling in terms of the self-belief, and that are struggling in terms of how can I actually make this happen. So just to show you the difference between the two, the contrast, that's what I have manifested. And today I'm going to dive right in terms of the 3 principles that, just for this first part of the webinar, I want to show you how I really set my mind to making these things happen. And the thing is like once you learn these and you apply them in your life and in your business, which you can literally start after this webinar, everything can change for you. And I'm not just saying that, I'm saying it because I've made it happen. It has been it's been tough at times, but it's happened. And not only that, my clients have done the same thing. So I know that it is 100% possible for you, even if you don't think that it's possible for you, even if you think you're not good enough, even if you think, yeah, but like, when is that going to happen? That might happen 5 years from now. Please know that that's not the case. It is possible. And I remember being on the other side of these webinars thinking, no, it's not possible. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm nowhere near that. And I get that, but I'm here to really tell you that it is, and I've made it happen. And I was just like you thinking like, what is she talking about? That sounds crazy. Okay, so let's get in here. So the 3 principles that I want to talk about today are 3 principles that have literally shifted my mindset. And I want to start with the very first one. So if you've got a pen and paper, I'd love for you to take notes, just because I found that often you can remember things more and really apply it later on. So the first one, so this is an example of 3 types of people. I first learned this from Tony Robbins. And I remember learning from him that he explained that there were 3 kinds of people. The first kind of person is called a stressor. The second kind of person is called a dabbler. And the third kind of person is called a master. Before you tune out, or before you're like, oh, like I've got this, or this sounds a little weird, please note, this made a literal massive difference in my business in terms of creating clients. So the first person who's, let's say, a dabbler or a stressor, let's start with the stressor. So the first person, a stressor, starts at point A. So let's pretend that point A is over here. So here's point A, whereby potentially you have 2 paying clients, maybe you're making a couple $100 a month, and you're finding it really frustrating and you're not creating what you want. So this is point A. And then up here is point B. Point B is where you're making $20,000 every single month effortlessly with dream clients, okay? As a stressor, and we're going to go through each scenario, as a stressor, this is what you do. And by the way, I'd love to hear, if this is something that you can recognize that you are. So a stressor is somebody who is like, okay, cool. So I've got 2 clients. They start posting on Facebook, Mondays and Wednesdays. They start sharing a video on their Facebook group. Maybe they're even, doing periscopes once every week. And they're really, they're really acting. They're really taking action. So they're moving up. They're moving up because they're like, their engagement is growing. They're getting a couple likes, maybe a couple comments. Maybe their group is growing to 20 people, then 30. And then they hit a plateau. So what happens when they hit this plateau is that they're like, oh my God, like I'm not getting any more results. I'm not creating any calls. I'm not getting any sales. Nobody is emailing me. I'm not creating the target that I wanted. And they go really frustrated and they're super stressed out and they're like, oh my God, this is never gonna work. And they stay in the same spot over and over and over again. And they do the same thing, expecting different results. So the stressor spends tons of time, tons of money just stressing out and not getting out and being frustrated, angry. It's not creating what they want. And then they finally have a breakthrough. And then they're like, oh, that was really frustrating, stressful, and took way too much time. And then they're moving along and they're, maybe now they're doing some webinars, maybe they're organizing some challenges, maybe now they're doing some more Facebook posts, maybe they're being bolder and they're creating more results, maybe they're getting a couple more sales calls, and then they hit a plateau. They still haven't created clients, or they haven't created the number of clients that they want. Guess what? The stressor stresses out, gets really frustrated, angry, annoyed, stays in the same spot, does the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And they stress out and they spend a lot of time in this place. They don't move from this place, and they spend a lot of money. okay? And then they finally have a breakthrough. That's what a stressor is. And that's how I was when I first started my coaching business. And I remember thinking, I want to create, $20,000 a month. And at the time, I want to, I want to get coached by Rich Litvin. I want to be, going into Bali. I want to serve people and make a massive difference in the world. And yet I kept hitting these plateaus and then getting really frustrated, really stressed out, and nothing would happen. And I would just stay stuck. And I was like, I'm nowhere near getting to the place where I want to be. Like there's nowhere, I'm no closer to where I want to be. And that's how I was. And by the way, that did not do well for me. Not only was I spending more money on stuff that I didn't want to spend money on, I was wasting a lot of time, not focusing on my zone of genius, not doing the things that worked, not applying the systems that actually create the clients effortlessly. So I was doing a lot of stuff that just really didn't work. And not only that, I was stressing out about it and really, really like almost getting to the point of burnout. And that was exhausting. Okay. So the second kind of person is a dabbler. So a dabbler is slightly different. Let's say, again, a dabbler starts from point A and is trying to get to point B, right? So the dabbler, same thing. Maybe they have 1 or 2 paying clients and they want to get to the place where they're making $20,000 every single month effortlessly, okay? And the dabbler, what they do is, maybe they create a YouTube video, YouTube channel. Maybe they organize some blab interviews. Maybe they even have a blog post and they're creating some likes and some comments on Facebook, on LinkedIn. They're really getting up there. People are maybe sending them a couple messages saying that they love their posts, and then they hit a plateau. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. I'm not creating what I want. But instead, they just give up. They're like, oh, it's not for me. Like, obviously I'm not that good at what I do. Obviously I'm not good enough. Obviously people don't think I'm an expert. Obviously, like, I'm just not good enough to make this work. I'm never going to be as successful as the other people. I'm different. And they give up. And then the dabbler, what they do is they start again, either on a new business or on a new program or on a new offer. And they start again. They're like, getting a lot of results. And then they hit a plateau, the dabbler. And then they give up again. They're like, oh, it's obviously not for me. I'm going to try something new. So the dabbler is the kind of person that's really kind of average on all of the different spectrums because they continually give up anytime that they hit a plateau or a really big struggling point where they're not creating what they want in their business. So I'm more of a stressor. Maybe you're finding yourself in the dabbler or the stressor. This is how I changed. And this is what made a really massive difference in terms of creating my first paying clients and then later creating more consistent results with regards to my business and manifesting all of the trips that I just talked about, going to Bali in a beautiful hotel, a luxury hotel for 7 days, flying out there. It's just ridiculous. And, getting Rich Litvin as my coach. Like, this is what I manifested as a result of doing this third kind of behavior. So the third person is the master. So there's the dabbler, the stressor, and the master. So what the master does is they also start from point A, right? They're no different. They're human beings. They have the same level of potential. So the master starts at point A, and they're looking to get to point B. So what the master does is they literally are like, okay, cool. Like, I'm doing some posts. I'm maybe setting up some interviews. Maybe they're posting on LinkedIn and they're sharing on LinkedIn groups. Maybe they set up their own workshop and they're creating results. So like the dabbler and the stressor, they're moving up. But then the master hits a plateau. They're not creating new results. They're not getting what they want in their business or in their life. The difference is that the master says, oh, I expected that. I expected a plateau. Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. So already they're completely different. Instead of being frazzled and stressed, they stop. The master stops and looks. And then what the master does when they hit a plateau or a struggle or when they're not creating results is they think, who do I know that has been from point A to point B and has therefore probably been through a similar plateau who can help me? Who do I know who's been from point A to point B who can help me go across this plateau? And if they don't know someone, they don't stop there. They're not like, oh, I don't know someone, like I can't move on. No, they don't do that. Instead, the master thinks, cool, well, I don't know someone, but instead what I'll do is I'll reach out to 8 Facebook groups of entrepreneurs or service-based business owners and ask them, who do you know that's gone from this point that I'm in to point B? And then they get in touch with that person and they find out if that person has a free program, or they ask that person, hey, I'm trying to go from point A to point B. I hit this plateau and I'm really struggling. Is there any way that you can tell me what actions to take so that I can move away from this plateau and get to my point B? And the person's like, oh my gosh, I've been there. I get it. I know that you're frustrated. Oh, it was such a pain when I was hitting that plateau too. Sure, these are the 3 action steps that you need to take to move from this plateau to get to point B. And so the master is like, oh my gosh, is that it? Those are the 3 actions I need to take? And the person's like, yeah, that's all you need to do. So they go back, the master, and he or she implements and executes on exactly what they've been told. They might tweak it to make it more them. They might tweak it so they use their special sauce. They might tweak it so they use their own zone of genius, but then they continue creating results. And then they hit a new plateau, and the master stops, looks, and asks for the next person who can help them get away, basically push through the plateau and get to point B. So this might sound like the most basic and most simplistic thing. And by the way, when I first heard about this, I was like, actually, to be fair, when I first heard about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a stressor and it's not happening and it's not working and it's taking so much time and so much money. Why don't I get the quick route and use the master way, whereby every time I hit a plateau or a really big struggle, I ask someone who's already been through it to give me their steps. And the thing is very often you've got free material, people are willing to help and support you, you've got mentors out there who are ready to help, and if you do want to hire someone or pay someone to do that, that's also available. So that's what I found really interesting. And maybe you're thinking, either maybe you're a stressor right now, or maybe you're a dabbler, or maybe you're looking to really become a master throughout everything, to really create what you want. And as soon as I decided to be a master and I remember thinking, I'm going to ask Melissa Farr, who's a coach. Maybe some of you guys know her, maybe you don't if you're not a coach and you're a service-based entrepreneur doing something else. But I remember asking her and asking for the challenge that she was setting up to book more sales calls. Because at the time, I had hit a plateau whereby I was really struggling on how to book more sales calls with potential clients. So I literally, as a master, I just reached out to the person who was booking calls, really booking calls easily. And I asked her, how can I do this? Or I remember just asking her for the challenge link because she was setting up a challenge. And I copied the link. I was there for her challenge. I learned all of the steps and I implemented. And by the way, that was free. And then a couple months later, I realized I wanted to learn because I was hitting another plateau whereby I was not creating consistent results. And so I reached out to another person, and there I hired a coach for a one-to-one program, a 6-month program. But just to show you that there are ways to do it for free and there are ways to do it paid. And just by shifting from a dabbler or a stressor to an achiever, you can make a massive difference. So if you guys have any, questions about that, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat box. I see a couple questions from Courtney. That's great to see you guys, and I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so excited that you guys are checking this out. So we have another about 25 minutes, and I want to move on to principle number 2. So by the way, guys, these have made literally the difference in my business. So hopefully these are really hitting like the right notch, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can do that right now. I can go speak to somebody, or I can ask in Facebook groups who knows someone who's created the results that I want, right? So, second principle that I want to talk about whilst I have a bit of a sip of water. Okay, cool. So, the second principle, and this is something I learned from Jack Canfield. I met him at the Success event in London, as I said in the beginning of this webinar. And I remember meeting him and thinking, oh God, like so surreal, finding it so amazing. And I couldn't believe I'd already manifested that, meeting him and everything, because I'd read the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And if you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it. He literally moved from being, going in a childhood of having an abusive parents, alcoholic parents, and now like being a multimillionaire, having this amazing success coaching company, and also being the writer of, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. So he's just absolutely amazing. He's created amazing things. And I remember the second principle that I learned, the thing that really shifted my business in terms of manifesting everything that I have, the money that I have, the clients that I've created, but also the trips that I've created to Bali and so on, was very simply either being the creator of your life or being led or ruled by your circumstances. So either literally being fully responsible for your life and your current circumstances and your results, compared to being led by an effect or by circumstances or by something that has happened to you. And Jack Canfield gave a really, really simple example. He said, imagine yourself, you wake up in the morning. You wake up this morning, it's like 8 a.m. and it's raining outside, and it's torrential rain, and it is gray and dark. You wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. Now, like, I feel like I can't go on a run. Then I have to wash my hair. I can't go out tonight, or I was hoping to wear those shoes. This is awful, and it's gloomy outside, and it's dark, and it's just rainy. Oh, why can't it be sunny? This has put me in such a bad mood. What I'm doing there, if I really react like that in the morning, is I'm allowing the circumstances, my environment, everything that's outside of me to affect my mood, my thoughts, and potentially the actions that I take throughout the day and the way that I take my actions every day. Because imagine this. If I wake up in the morning and I see that it's torrential rain and it's dark out there and it's gross and it's really, really intense, okay? And I wake up in the morning and I see that first thing in the morning. The creator way of looking at that kind of event is thinking, okay, cool, so that's happened. Instead, why don't I this is a great opportunity for me to do all the life admin I've been meaning to do. Also, I was meeting on doing some really fun workouts at home on Pop Sugar Fitness on YouTube. So this is great to kind of create some variety to work on my core, because I've been doing only running recently. Oh my God, and this is actually really useful because it means that I can actually take care of the things that I wanted to on my desk and in my flat, so I can declutter to create some more money and some more income. So this is awesome. Let's go. So do you see how those two very different mindsets and completely different responses can lead to a completely different day, whereby I will be full of energy, ready to take on the day, take action, make things happen, and not allow the circumstances or what's happening outside of me to literally affect my life and literally lead my life. And let me give you another example of this, because this is what happened in my own business, in my coaching business, in terms of creating what I wanted. I remember, like everyone who's literally an online entrepreneur, that I would post on Facebook, right? And I would post an offer on Facebook, potentially about people working with me in my programs, talking about who I'm looking for, what their biggest struggle is, the benefits of working with me, and a call to action. So I would post on Facebook with that kind of very structured post. Then what would happen is I'd post on 3 different groups at different times of the day, potentially tweaking them and, creating an image that really calls to people and is very magnetic. And in the very beginning of my coaching business, I was always led by my results. I was always led by my circumstances or by the effect. So what I would do is sometimes nobody would comment, and I would have 0 likes, or maybe a couple people liked, but nobody would comment about my program. And in the beginning of my coaching business, when I didn't understand this principle and I didn't apply it in my business, is that what I did is I'd be like, oh, that's such a shame. It's obviously not good enough. People obviously don't want to work with me. Oh, I'm obviously not really seen as an expert. Oh, maybe I haven't engaged enough. I'm obviously this is just not going to work. Okay, so I can't book the 4 calls. I want to book this today and this week. And what should I do? This is ridiculous. Okay, that was me. That was literally me. And I promise that was literally me. I was like, oh, that's a shame. Now, completely different. I now literally follow the whole, you take on full responsibility for your life, and you take on full responsibility for your results, like Jack Canfield said, and what I learned from him. So instead what I do is, let's say that I get the exact same result, right? I post on Facebook groups, on the 3 Facebook groups, and I get 0 comments and a couple likes. My next thinking is, cool. Okay, what can I learn from this? I can tweak it in this way, potentially. Maybe I can reach out to somebody who's a copywriter and learn what I can, maybe from her free program or her free opt-in, on how I can create better leads. Then I think to myself, who do I know who's incredibly good at selling through their posts? Okay, I'm gonna reach out to them. If I don't know, I find out on Facebook groups. That's what I do. Then I think, okay, this is not enough. This is a must. I will absolutely book 4 calls this week. I'm not allowing myself any uncertainty or any doubt, which means that my next thought is, cool, how can I create calls instead? And I think to myself, I'm going to put a video on YouTube. I'm going to do a really cool Periscope challenge that gives my people tons of value. And at the end, I'm going to post an amazing offer. Or the next thing I think about is like, okay, cool, what else can I do? Maybe I can interview someone and create some really awesome content so that my people can really benefit from them, and then offer calls that way. And that's how my mind is, how different it is instead of seeing the results as a failure, I think that's not a failure because I'm not done. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's a shame. No. Like that happens. And then the next step is, what else can I do? Or how can I do it better? Or who can I ask? Or can I meditate on this and slow down and see what else I can come up with? Okay, so that is the second thing. Take 100% responsibility for your results, because that is how I literally went to Los Angeles last year to see Rich Litvin. I made sure that I was on his email list so I could find out anytime he was offering any kind of program. As soon as he offered his group program, which is his 6-month salon with 9 other top performer coaches, I was on it. I then applied straight away, like literally 10 minutes later, application done, in, submitted. Second application came in, submitted. I literally was like, on it. And I was like, I'm not letting any doubt, any uncertainty. I'm doing my absolute 100% maximum. When I didn't hear back from them in the next couple of days, I emailed them, because remember, I'm not allowing effect to rule my life. So I emailed them saying, hi, I am so excited about this program. I genuinely look forward to hearing from you. If you need any other additional information, please let me know. Literally a couple minutes later, she's like, cool, here's your interview with Rich Litvin. And I had my interview with Rich Litvin for about 45 minutes. He said, Olivia, it is a hell yes for me on my side. I can absolutely see that you're a top performer, that you want to be surrounded by people who are doing huge things in the world, and that you want to be challenged, and that you want to create some amazing impact for women out there to empower them to create their dream businesses. You're in. Literally, that was the setup, right? And the next day he confirmed it. We got literally, and that's how it happened. There was like non-negotiable. I was like, this is gonna happen. And if that wasn't gonna happen, if, for example, that hadn't happened, I'd be like, fine, I'm on for the next one. And he does a 4PC program, which is a 4% program for the 4% top coaches in the world. And I was like, cool, I'll just sign up for that for the next one. Like, that was my level of like, this must happen. And that is another thing, is you're taking 100% responsibility for your life and you're making it a must. So that's number 2 principle. Create your life. Do not allow the effect or the results to lead you. Okay, cool. So principle number 3, guys, we are almost done. We've got about 10 minutes left. And this one is just as important, because if you don't figure this piece out, you will spin in circles like I did for a while starting my business. And my clients, who, when I first start working with them, when I meet them, this is where they're at. They're at the spinning space very often. Not all of them, but most of them are. And I will explain what that looks like. So the 3rd principle is about limiting beliefs. And if you don't think this is an issue, it really, really is. And why that is. So let me give you an example. One of my limiting beliefs when I first started my coaching business a little less than a year ago was that I was not good enough. I thought, I can see all of those amazing people out there, but I'm not good enough. I'm different. I didn't do this or that. I didn't do this piece. I'm not as good as this person. That girl who's making, $40K a month, I can't do that because I'm just not good enough. What if I'm not a good coach? What if I can't create results for my clients? What if I have to take full responsibility for their lives and I can't help them change it? What if I can't, help them create the clients that they want, help them create the money that they want? And maybe you're thinking, what if I'm not good enough at marketing? If you're a marketing, if you run a marketing business, what if you're like thinking, I'm not good enough at this marketing? What if I can't create the engagement that they want? What if I can't help my clients? What if I'm just not that good, right? Like, that is the fear that I had. That's the fear that everyone that I've spoken to has when they first start their business. And by the way, if you don't think that this is still kind of spinning in your head, I would challenge that. Not because everything that I say is 100% true. I would actually take everything I take and experiment and apply it yourself before you believe it. That's what I do. Anytime I learn something new, I go and experiment it, I apply it in my life, and I test it whether it makes sense for me, right? And then I tweak it with using who I am. But if you don't think that you still have some limiting beliefs on whether you're good enough or whether you're enough in terms of creating the money that you want, creating the clients that you want, creating the amazing traveling holidays, beautiful workshops, retreats that you want to go on, if you don't think that you're good enough or that you're enough, then that is still a limiting belief that's not allowing you to create what you want. And there's so many pieces that we could delve into with regards to your limiting beliefs. I do that with my clients. I literally deep coach them to really figure out what is this thing that they're scared of? What are they afraid of? Why do they not think that they're good enough? And we really get into it so we can completely remove that and shift it, and they go off and they take massive action. That's just what happens. That's who I work with. And this is what I want to say about this third principle about limiting beliefs. And this is, you guys, we have another 5 minutes. Is that, yes, you can delve into it and you can get coaching on it. And of course, I would highly recommend that. But if you have a limiting belief that, you're running a website design company, or potentially you are a consultant and you're not creating the results that you want, or you don't think that you're good enough at creating results for your clients, what I want you to do is think, okay, what's my limiting belief? Maybe your limiting belief is, I'm not good enough at what I'm doing. Then what I want you to think is, okay, cool, so what would make me feel like an expert? Maybe you're thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not an expert, or I'm not experienced enough. So what would make you feel experienced or good enough? Give me 3 actions that would allow you to move from this place of, I'm not good enough, I'm not experienced enough, I'm not an expert on this field, to, I'm feeling really good. I'm actually feeling like I am gaining experience. I am an expert in this field. And maybe what you might tell me is, you might say, okay, the 3 actions I could take to move from this limiting belief to this place is, 1, potentially I feel like I need an extra 10 hours of free experience, whereby I'm just giving 10 hours of my time to create some amazing results for other people in my business, whether you're a coach, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a marketer, regardless of what you are. Maybe you want to just set up 10 free hours. Maybe you want to just reach out to people and say, hey, I'm looking to do 10 free hours, create amazing results for you, and then get some awesome testimonials to put them up on your website. You'll feel already more like an expert. You can share about those testimonials, and also you'll just feel like you've actually done something else to add to that. Maybe the second action you say is, maybe you just feel like you need to really hire the support that you need to get you to a place whereby you feel like an expert. Maybe you just need to learn from someone who's already done it, like a mentor, a consultant, a coach, some form of expert, right? And the third action might simply be for you to, ask for feedback. Maybe you don't feel like you're an expert, or you don't feel like you're good enough because you've never asked your people or the people that you've worked with for free or paid for feedback. And of course, if you don't have any feedback, it'll be really scary to know whether or not you're good enough. And what this has allowed me to do, to move from a limiting belief to a place whereby, you're feeling really, really good at what you do, regardless of what the limiting belief is, tell yourself, what are 3 actions that I could take to move from this place to that place, okay? And then go and implement and take action on those. Don't just stay there and be like, okay, cool, like I've got these 3 actions. No. That's when you are the literal creator of your life, principle number 2, and you go and you create your life and you get the results that you want. Okay, so these are the 3, and by the way, this last piece was really helpful to move me from a place where I was like, I don't know if I'm really that good at this, to a place where I'm like, I am freaking amazing at this. This is my zone of genius. I work incredibly well coaching people. This is something I'm just really good at. It's my gift. I have an intuition. I have a level of energy that is really, really high. And I just genuinely believe in people, and I genuinely can empower women to create some amazing things in their business. So I moved from a place of, I don't know if I'm that good, I might never be able to make this happen, to a place where I was like, let's go. I want to work with Rich Litvin, get even better than I am as a coach, so that I can create even better results for my clients, so they can go out and live a dream life that they are obsessed with, right? And that's how I made it happen. And in terms of, going to Bali, it was, at the time it was thinking, let me take a bit of a risk on myself. I want to create this amazing retreat and go to Bali and fly to Bali and be on this beautiful island and be in this 5-star hotel. And I'm going to create the amount of money that I need to get there. And I'm not taking no for an answer. And I'm also literally making it a must factor. And I'm going to do it in full service of other women who want to make a difference in the world. So those are the 3 principles, and I'm going to go over them really quickly again. So the first one was looking at whether you are a dabbler, a stressor, or a master. Remember, the master is the person who, as soon as they're struggling, they go and they ask someone, how did you get through this plateau? And then they push through. The second piece that we looked at was being the creator of your life and not allowing yourself to be led by the results that you get or by the effect or your circumstances. And the third principle that we looked at, which we just looked at now, is looking at any limiting belief that you have and literally asking yourself, what are 3 actions that I can take today, starting today, that will allow me to make me feel this way, whereby I no longer have that limiting belief, or at least I have it less. And that's literally, those are 3 parts. There are more to these, which is why we have our second webinar next Monday at the same time, so 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Next Monday, we're gonna go through more of these kinds of principles that literally allow me to create dream life, dream coaching with Rich Litvin, going to Bali in March, and literally going all over Europe in the next 6 months, right? And what I will say is, before we get into Q&A, because I do see a question on my right, before we go into Q&A, if you are registered for this one, you will absolutely be registered for the next webinar next Monday at 4:30 p.m. GMT, so London time. And now I would like to talk to you about something I am super excited about. So, as you can tell, this is something that I'm seriously excited about, really engaged in, because I genuinely believe that every single one of us can create their dream business. And I know that maybe there's a little doubt in your mind and you're thinking, yeah, that's great, but that's because, you did a bachelor's in business, or that's because you did a master's in psychology, or, you did this or you did that. Please, I was exactly like you when I was thinking about doing these types of things. And I used to think, I was doubting it. And the truth of the matter is, it's your doubt that really keeps you stuck where you are. And really, by applying these 3 principles, you can literally make such a massive difference. So I've got a really exciting offer that I am psyched about. And it is a limited offer, and it is for a limited number of people. But this is what I'm offering. For those of you who've watched this webinar and registered for this webinar, and for any of those who are part of my Facebook group, which is Dream Biz with Olivia Charlet, and anyone who's on my email list, it's only for you guys, it's for my tribe, it's for the women who really want to create dream businesses and to really have everything they want, to not want to be realistic, to want to dream big, to want to create some impossible things, who want to manifest this kind of amazing stuff in their life. That's what this is for. I'm creating 3 spots for 3 women who want to take on a 4-month business and mindset program with me. And what's really exciting is that not only would we implement these pieces in much more detail and get very specific on your business, on what you want to create, on your vision, on your strategy, and get really crystal clear on how we can create all of that and how you can make that happen in your life. But you will also literally start implementing all of those systems in a very methodical way online, doing it in a way that feels lit up, that feels inspiring, that feels you, because I genuinely believe that everyone has their own special sauce. Everyone is unique, and it's more about keying into who you are and your message and using that to implement the actions that you need to take. And on top of the 4-month business and mindset coaching program with me, you also get, which I'm very excited about, my online course, which is coming out early February, whereby you have 6 modules packed full of literally 6 module videos, 6 workbooks, and you literally work through each piece to create everything that you want in terms of clients, in terms of your mindset. So you really can work, whilst you're not coaching with me or on the coaching sessions, you can be working on that in parallel. so that you're consistently creating what you want in your life and in your business. And on top of that, you get a freaking 2-hour deep intensive session with me to start. And why? It's because I've really realized that by working with all the clients that I've worked with, that the first piece is to really get clear on what your deepest desires are. Not necessarily the selfless reason, which is, wanting to serve people and make a massive difference in the world, which, by the way, is amazing, and that's something I really feel. But also thinking about what you want. Where do you want to go on holiday? What do you want to create this year? What kind of programs do you want to sign up for? Do you want to travel to go somewhere to meet your idol like I did? Do you want to go learn something new? Do you want to, be booking spa days once a week? Like, what do you desire? And we'll do a 2-hour deep intensive in terms of creating your absolute vision, in terms of your brand, your business, the kinds of clients that you want, what's holding you back, and literally get into a very, very clear, succinct, crystal clear strategy on how we're going to make that happen and how you're going to take on full responsibility for your life and make it happen on your side. So I have 3 limited spots for this 4-month business and mindset program that's, linked up with the online course and this 2-hour deep intensive. And it'll expire this Thursday. The reason is because I want to work with people who are committed. Look, I'm incredibly ambitious. I'm very determined. I have a deep desire to really go and change lives. And I want to be working with women who are also just as committed and who are ready for this to happen now, who don't want to allow time or other reasons to stop them from creating their dream business and their dream life. So I am literally expiring this offer on the end of Thursday, so midnight on Thursday, my time. And so if this is something that you are interested in, there are 3 spots. You can book a clarity call with me to find out if this is the right program for you. If this is resonating, if this relates to you, if you feel like you can, if this is your thing, and if you've been watching me for a while, and if you're interested in the program and on this offer, then we can book and schedule in a clarity call, 45 minutes over Skype, to find out if you're the right match for me, but also if I'm the right match for you. So we'll really look at it in a mutual way. And so you can do that on my website, which is oliviacharlet.com, and you can message me on there and we can book that together. So that's the really exciting offer. And now let me go into Q&A, because I know that there are a couple people who have asked a couple questions here. If I look on this side, so let's see. Hey, Olivia, I want to get paying clients for my programs via challenge. Do you have any suggestions around a visibility challenge, and how do I turn that into a paying customer? Thanks, Julie. Julie, that's an awesome question, and it's very much more focused in terms of really getting on the practical kind of action side. So for those of you who are, I always want to say this because I think every time I've been on a webinar, I want to make sure that those of you guys who've gotten all the value that you need, please know that you're ready to go. You can go off and do your thing and go apply these 3 principles that you've learned today in your business. And you can find more of what I do on Dream Biz with Olivia Charlet, which is my Facebook group. And if you want to reach out for a clarity call, you can do that on my website, oliviacharlet.com. And finally, if you want to join us for the webinar next week, Monday, we will literally be going through some new principles to start applying everything that I've been able to manifest, so that you can literally do that in your own business and in your own life. So it'll be the same time next Monday. So answering Julie's question. So, okay, Julie, that's an awesome idea. I've done a challenge before. I've done challenges before, both on Periscope and also via email. And it is a fantastic way to really build trust with the people that you want to work with. And it really allows people to understand who you are, what you're about, what your message is, but also get closer to you. And I'd be very big on that, is like, make sure that it's super personalized, that it really feels Julie-like, if that makes sense. So with regards to, do you have any suggestions around a visibility challenge? This is what I would really say to you, Julie. First of all, I would look at your absolute ideal client, okay? And I would think to myself, okay, who's my absolute ideal client? So maybe I think to myself, okay, it's a woman who's potentially struggling to create what she wants in her business. She's a doer, so she's an action taker. She's very committed to her life, and she takes full responsibility for her results. So maybe that's the kind of person I'm looking for, okay? And if that's the kind of woman I'm looking for, I want to think, what is her biggest problem right now? So maybe in your case, Julie, her biggest problem is showing up. is being visible. She's scared, she's uncomfortable about, going on Facebook, doing these types of things, doing live events, maybe doing sales calls. Maybe your ideal client is really scared about showing up on Periscope or showing up on YouTube, and she's really struggling to even post potentially even on Facebook groups, right? So if you think about your ideal woman and you're thinking, okay, so that's what she's struggling with, the next step is to think, how can I help this woman? Because remember, that's the only reason we're here, right? I mean, I know that those are the kinds of women I attract. We really want to help people. So the thing is to think, okay, how could I, if it's a visibility challenge, maybe it's over a series of days. So maybe it's over 3 days. And you could think to yourself, what are 3 action steps that these women can take, this ideal client of mine that she can take, that will literally move her from a place of feeling stuck, afraid, uncomfortable about showing up and being visible on Facebook, to a place where she's feeling, oh my God, I actually know what I can post. I'm feeling comfortable. I'm feeling a little bit easier about creating content. I know how to be visible. I know how to show up. I know when to show up, that place. And literally showing them steps, action steps to move from this place to that place. And that could be literally 3 actions that they can take. And you can set them up with like a dare or a challenge or something similar to that. And Julie, in terms of creating clients with that, one, I would say the better you are at focusing on what that person's problem is, the more likely you are to be able to give them value. Because remember, if people are not coming in to work with you, it's because they're potentially not seeing the level of value. They don't think that you can potentially help them. So if you create your challenge and you really focus on, okay, what is their biggest struggle, their biggest problem, and how can I help them move from this place of discomfort to a place whereby they feel really, really confident, they know how to show up, and just literally leave them there. And at the very end, that's when you would offer more value. Think of it as a service, like honestly, by me offering my coaching, I'm allowing more women to create their dreams. Like I see that as a service. I see that as me helping them. And the more you see that as helping these women, show up, be more confident, be more visible, feel more comfortable in their own skin, the more they'll be like, okay, cool, I want to take you up on your offer. Maybe you can offer them 20-minute assessments, Julie, or you can offer some free calls. You can literally choose how you do that. So that's what I would recommend in terms of the challenge. If you have any more detailed questions about that, you're more than welcome to pitch that in my Facebook group, Dream Biz with Olivia Charlet. And obviously, if we were working together, we would dig a lot deeper in terms of exactly what you want to create. But in terms of time and getting to the other questions, I'm going to move on. So the second question, what is the best way to get your first paid client through social media? Laura, that is an excellent question. Instead of just giving you a random idea, I'm literally going to tell you how I created my first paying client, because I think that it's a lot better when people actually give you scenarios so that you can potentially replicate them, okay? So Laura, if you want to have your first paying client, I'll give you the way that I did it, just so that way you can see if this is something that fits, and then you can see if that's something you'd want to replicate. So what I did is I got clear at the time on who I wanted to work with. And I thought to myself, at the time, it was all women. It wasn't even entrepreneurs. It was all women when I first started my business. And then I thought to myself, okay, great. Well, what I want to do is I just want to allow people to experience my work. So let's say, Laura, that you are let's say that you're a consultant. What I would do is I would get on the phone. I would say, I'm offering 30-minute free consulting on your, what could we say, on your fitness or on your business or on your brand. So I would say I'm offering 30-minute free assessments, consulting assessments on your brand, and I would love to offer this to these kinds of people. And then you literally lead to a call to action. And you can do this on Facebook. You can offer this on LinkedIn. I've gotten clients from LinkedIn as well. You can offer this on a workshop as well if you want to do that. Specific to social media, I would recommend using Facebook, using YouTube videos, using Blab, using Periscope, using Facebook to offer a little bit of time to actually work with you for free, even if it's just 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so people get an experience of what it would be like. And then what you can do is you can pitch them, you can upsell them into your program. So that's what I did for my first paying client. I literally offered some free calls, got on the phone with people, coached my butt off, got awesome results already with the first call, that they wanted to work with me again. And so that's how I got my very first paying client. How do you get to the root of the limiting belief that's keeping you stuck? Amy, that's a great question. And this is the last question that I'll take just because I have another call that I need to get on soon. And then if you guys have any other questions, you're more than welcome to post them on Dream Biz with Olivia Charlet. Or of course, if you want more online intense support, you're more than welcome to join my program. So how do you get to the root of a limiting belief that's keeping you stuck? Getting to the root is just literally asking yourself, what am I afraid of? And not stopping whereby I'm like, I'm just afraid. No. What are you actually afraid of? So Amy, if I was being really, really honest with you and I was asking you, what are you actually afraid of? What are you scared of? What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen if you actually become successful? Or what do you think will actually happen if you get your first paying client? Or what are you still afraid of about really being visible? Are you scared of what people will think of you? And what are you scared of? What is the actual thought that you think that they will have? Is it that they will think that you're not an expert? Is it that they'll think that you're not pretty enough? Is it that they'll think that you're not good enough? Is it that they'll think that you are you're not worth, like, who are you to like offer free advice? What is the fear that you have, Amy? Because all of us have had a fear, a limiting belief that keeps us stuck, that we're not good enough and we're going to be ridiculed when we finally get online, that we're not good enough so when we get on a sales call, we're going to stumble our words, that we're not good enough so that when we get to the end of the sales pitch, we're going to completely fall over. That when we finally show up on video, people are going to laugh at us. People are going to say negative, mean things to us. They're going to bully us. What is the fear that you have that will happen? Just answer very honestly that. You don't have to do it here, but if we were in a coaching session, we'd get really, really deep and I would ask you some really delve into all that questions and really figure out what it is that you're seriously scared of. And again, by the way, there's no embarrassment about being scared. I've been scared so much. I'm always scared because I'm consistently leaning into my edge. Always. I will always be growing, progressing because I genuinely want to continue learning. So it's normal to be afraid, but it's about thinking about what is keeping me afraid. What am I scared of? What do I think other people will think of me? So guys, thank you so much for your questions. I know that these are, quick answers to really deep questions, but obviously this is the kind of work that I do with my one-to-one clients, whereby we really delve deep and we figure out exactly what's going on with you, with your business, with, the struggle in terms of creating clients. So again, Thursday offer, it expires, my 4-month coaching program, Business and Mindset, with my online course and a 2-hour deep intensive. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and seeing you for the next webinar next Monday at the same time. So I'm super, super excited. Thank you so much and sharing. Laura says, thanks so much for sharing your answers and helping us to move forward. We appreciate your time and experience. Have a great day. You're so welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for spending the time with me and taking time out of your day. And I can't wait to see you guys for the next webinar next Monday at the same time, whereby we'll delve even deeper. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. Bye, everyone. See you soon.